Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us from the First Alert Digital News Desk as we take a live look from our Manitowoc Skycam out over Lake Michigan. And Tammy, I know we've been talking about this for the last week now, but we're just seeing all that wildfire smoke out there.
Look at the Manitowoc Skycam. I mean, we were kind of waiting for that sunrise, and really, we aren't seeing it. It's just hazy, and it's been hanging out. And I think we were talking about this. We're like in day 6 of this advisory, and Steve, you can talk more about this and how it's impacting us. And we're looking at that map.
Yeah, these are
Canada.
hot spots in Canada. So the Canadian government provides this map. All that wildfire smoke. We know there's some out in the western part of the U.S., but that's not what's really impacting us here in Wisconsin. It's our friends to the north in Canada that have been sharing all this wildfire smoke with us. Steve mentioned this morning it smelled like a bonfire all weekend out there, but you're just seeing all of those hot spots, just hundreds of fires across the Canadian wilderness. And here to talk more about it on this First Alert Weather Day, Chief Meteorologist Steve Balon. Good morning, Steve. This has been quite the past 6 days or so in terms of all this smoke that we've been dealing with.
Yeah, I'm starting to get comments on my Facebook page like, well, why can't Canada control their wildfires? And, they do have thousands of people who are trying to put all these wildfires out. The problem is that, when you get persistent drought, you tend to have dry conditions, and all it takes is either a lightning strike or somebody being careless to set off these blazes. And it takes a lot of manpower and resources to be able to put all these fires out. Canada is getting international help. If I remember reading over the weekend that the United States has sent over 600 people across the border to help out the Canadians to kind of get these wildfires under control. But this is no small task. And then when you get the upper level winds blowing all that smoke at the end of last week into the Great Lakes, and it's just kind of suppressed here, we're just kind of stuck in this weather pattern. And so really, our next weather maker is kind of the old weather maker. More wildfire smoke. It's going to last through at least tomorrow. So we got at least 2 more days of this. Poor air quality, which will hopefully be enough for people to limit their time outside while this smoke is still around. Now, the Wisconsin DNR, they've been issuing air quality advisories or air quality alerts, pretty much the same thing. And they've been extending it like 1 day at a time based on what the smoke is doing. Now, the air quality advisory that's up statewide expires at noon, but it seems pretty likely to me that the DNR is going to extend this another 24 hours. We are still in the unhealthy category across central and eastern Wisconsin. That area of red there, that's where the air quality indices are above 150. And when they're in that category, we encourage everybody, and I do mean everybody, to limit their time outside, but it especially holds true for those who deal with a cardiovascular condition, a lung disease. We're concerned about older adults out in the smoke for a long period of time. Same thing with little kids. Those are segments of our society that really need to spend more time indoors, especially while this smoke is still in place. So smoky sun mixed with clouds today, poor air quality, a warm day, slightly humid, a high of 81 degrees. Now you're probably wondering, why is this smoke so stubborn? Why doesn't it get out of here? Well, we've got high pressure right over top of us. High pressure, it's a big bubble of sinking air, which usually gives us sunshine. And sure enough, over the weekend, we did see some of that hazy sun. But the problem is that the high pressure system is also squeezing that smoke down towards the ground, towards where we live. And underneath high pressure, there isn't a whole lot of wind. There's no prevailing wind to blow this smoke out of here. So we just keep repeating this smoky weather day after day after day. Once we get into the midweek, that high pressure system is going to slowly move off to the east, and the winds on the back side of that stable weather maker will hopefully start blowing in some cleaner, fresher air. So we're tracking this wildfire smoke that's near the ground on First Alert Pinpoint Predictor. It's especially prevalent where you see that gray color on the map. That's 7 o'clock this evening, smoky in northeast Wisconsin. You'll be able to smell it like you have the past couple days. Sunrise and sunsets will continue to have that blurry, hazy glow. 7 o'clock Tuesday morning. Notice the smoke is still in northeast Wisconsin. Tuesday's going to be another smoky day, but look how the smoke is kind of letting up a little bit in western Wisconsin. You see, western Wisconsin will pick up more of a south wind tomorrow, and that hopefully will blow that smoke out of the area. We'll eventually start picking up that south breeze as we go into Wednesday. So I think we've got smoke today, smoke tonight, smoke tomorrow, and then Wednesday, hopefully we can get out of these first alert weather days as the air quality gradually improves. Otherwise, today looks seasonably warm, highs in the low 80s, upper 70s along the lake shore. The wind blowing in off of Lake Michigan out of the east and southeast around 5 to 10 miles an hour. The humidity, well, you'll notice it's a little sticky out there. Our dew points will hover near 60. That's kind of right at the edge where it starts to get a little bit sticky and uncomfortable for most folks, but by no means is it going to be oppressive. We're at 70 degrees right now in Appleton, 59 in Rhinelander, but elsewhere, we're in the 60s. Oh, that 58 there in Wautoma just caught my eye. It's 66 degrees in Green Bay. We've got some of that hazy smoke reducing visibility. Most of our visibility is ranging about 3 to 7 miles. And I suspect you're going to have more hazy conditions today, tonight, tomorrow. Highs in the low 80s. We'll continue our first alert weather day probably through tomorrow, and again, I suspect the Wisconsin DNR will extend their air quality alert or air quality advisory for another 24 hours. As the smoke moves out, heat and humidity builds. We'll see highs rising into the mid-80s on Wednesday, upper 80s on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday highs will be near 90 degrees. With high pressure moving out and an increase in the humidity, we'll have some small storm chances ahead. Now, the next chance of storms, well, it's a small one for Wednesday. First alert pinpoint predictor has a mix of sun and clouds, dry in the morning, but look what happens in the afternoon. West of the Fox Cities in Green Bay, an isolated storm could pop up in the heating of the day, and we may see something similar Thursday and Friday. Storm chances will be going up over the weekend, and while I think the best chance of storms could hold off until late Sunday, Saturday could have a few scattered storms in the afternoon and evening, and that bears some watching because, well, the Packers have got their first preseason game coming up this Saturday. It's home against the Jets, and it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid at the 7 p.m. kickoff at Lambeau Field. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s with a breezy south wind. And again, there is a storm chance. Tammy and Emerson, I know you guys have been here long enough to know that it seems like a rite of passage that during some sort of preseason football game or Packers family night, there's some sort of storm where the heavens open up and it just pours over Lambeau Field. I'm hoping Saturday is not one of those situations, but there is that possibility that happens. So we'll first alert you as we get more details as that Saturday forecast comes a little bit more into focus.
Well, family night was gorgeous.
Yeah.
They had 60,000 fans out there for a practice, Steve, so I guess it might be the preseason's turn to have to deal with that weather if that becomes the case.
I always feel like it's like, like Wheel of Fortune, right? They spin that wheel. Eventually somebody hits the bankrupt space, and I think it's just a matter of time before, you get that downpour, during a preseason game. But I'm hoping that we can continue our luck into this Saturday. But I will say, though, we're not going to be able to beat the heat. It's going to be pretty hot at Saturday's game against the Jets.
I just can't believe we're talking about Packers games.
I know.
Already.
Right.
We're there. All right, Steve. Well, thanks so much. We'll let you go get ready for Action 2 News mid-morning with Aisha right behind you there, and we will check back in with you guys in a bit. And now, Tammy, we are talking about another pesky scam that this one pretty realistic, and this is one of those text scams that we've been seeing.
Right, a lot of text scams recently, and if you see the words recall or refund, you might pay more attention, right? And so this one claims to be coming from the Amazon safety team.
That's one you probably pay attention to as well.
Yes.
You use that a lot.
And we know that. I've covered so many different types of Amazon scams, and not from the real company, but from scammers using the Amazon name. So this is just the latest one. A viewer sent this to me, and sure enough, yes, it's a scam, and the Federal Trade Commission is warning about this. So they're claiming to be the safety team, and they say that there's an item that you bought is being recalled, and in this particular text message, it could give you a product number or order number, and it's basically saying that we recommend you stop using the product, immediately contact us to arrange for a full refund. And there's a link in the text message. The link does not say Amazon on it. It's some random, clearly a random website.
And that's where the harm can be done,
Yes,
right, is with that
absolutely.
link.
So yeah, the Federal Trade Commission put out an alert about these types of scams, specifically the Amazon refund scam, and they're basically saying if you would click on that, it could impersonate the Amazon website, ask you for your login information, payment information, because if they're going to want to refund you, they might ask you for your payment method that, if you're using a credit card. But yeah, this is definitely a phishing scam, and there's so many of these out here, out there right now. And we recently have talked about the DMV,
Sure.
the ticket scams, the toll scams. So this is kind of the latest one that's happening. And just in all of the types of scams that I've been covering, I'll tell you that the texting is kind of, I don't want to say the phone calls are going away, but the text messages are being used more often.
Scammers aren't dumb, right? They know where people
Right.
are getting their information, how people are communicating, and a lot of people text nowadays.
Right. And texting is, you get it in an instant and you think, oh, well, and the scammer's thinking, I'll just get them to click on it. I'm just going to look at that real quickly. Oh, gosh, yeah, I do buy from Amazon. But it's that moment where just basically if you're getting an unexpected text message, you just have to pause. And so I did go to Amazon, and I was telling Chris Roth this. I think our full conversation is posted at WBAY.com.
Sure.
You can look at it. But I went to Amazon under my own personal account, and if you go into your account, and there's recalls, and you can click on, and it will tell you if any of the products that you've purchased through Amazon.
Tracks that for you.
Yeah, it tracks that. So, if there's a question, if you think, oh yeah, I heard that there's a refund on some product, I mean that's how they try to get you, right? You're
Sure.
just trying to get you just to kind of, forget like reasoning and just click on something, because that might be the easiest. I know it takes an extra step or two to go to your account, but anytime you have a question about that, I mean, whether it's Amazon or Netflix or PayPal, all these types of services that we use, I mean, these are the names that scammers are using. And also part of my report, I found a report that was looking at the top 10 either brands or companies that scammers are using. Microsoft is at the top of the list. Amazon is number 7.
Okay.
But you look at the list, and LinkedIn and Facebook and all the things that we use are on that list. So really be aware of text messages and emails coming in. Don't click on them.
Take that little extra time,
Yes,
but it'll save you
yes.
a lot of extra headache and potentially save you some money as
Right,
well. So
right.
you can always find Tammy's reports at our website, WBAY.com. And with that, that'll wrap up our little report here for our Monday morning check-in. We'll take a live look at Sturgeon Bay this morning out at the marina. And yeah, you can just see that hazy smoke hanging around. Hopefully, Steve says later this week it'll finally start making its way out of Wisconsin. But make sure to take care of yourself and your loved ones if you are spending a lot of time outside over the early parts of this week. And make sure to join us tomorrow morning at 4:30 for Action 2 News This Morning. Have a great day, everybody.